Welcome to Unconventional Creatives, episode 5. I am Stacy.
And I'm Sandra of 𝒄𝒐𝒎𝒏𝒊𝒕𝒚.
Today we're going to be interviewing Monika. She is the designer and founder of Rapture and Repent.
And right after the interview, we're going to be seeing her creative space in her home studio, so don't go anywhere.
Keep on watching.
Hi, Monika.
Hi.
How are you today?
Good. How are you?
Good. Thank you for joining us. We're so excited to interview you, and we want to start by learning more about who you are and your interests and your values.
And how they kind of shaped you as a creator. Because we know that you are a designer, but maybe you have other forms of art that you like to dabble in, so.
I've always been just really interested in art and design in general. So like as a young kid, I did a lot of art, and then I ended up realizing that I was really passionate about fashion design. And then in my later years, I specifically dabbled more into lingerie. I've just always been really interested in like fetish and that sort of scene. So it really made sense for me to get into that path instead of just clothing.
Mm-hmm.
To me, it was a lot more like artistic and really my style.
Awesome. And how did Rapture and Repent begin?
Were there other brands before then?
So when I originally started, I was just going by like my name, like Monika Leokadija, and I didn't really feel like it was like capturing the mood of the clothing. So near the end of university, when I was studying fashion design at Ryerson, we had a project for the final year to basically make like a capsule collection. So that was when like the name Rapture and Repent was born. My whole collection was basically like based on like the 7 deadly sins, kind of just creating a satanic and sinister mood. So that was when the name was born.
Amazing. And how long ago was that?
That was in 2017.
Oh wow, so you've been doing this for 3 years.
Yeah, so since then I like carried on with it and grew and like made more designs and stuff, and it's been going well since school ended.
How do you feel it's changed, like since you've started and where you are now?
I look back at some of my first designs and I'm like, I have really grown as a designer. I think I started a lot more with like smaller accessories and stuff like that. It was more manageable for me at the time, but I think with like learning to work with a lot more different materials and stuff like that, I really think I'm at a place where I'm like really proud of the stuff I'm making. So I'm just going to continue working on similar things and expanding a little more in different creations.
Awesome. So where does the inspiration behind your designs come from? Where do you source your inspiration?
A lot of it has this like twisted sort of Catholicism vibe to it. So I guess it like the idea first came to me because I went to like Catholic school as a teenager, and I just always was really interested in like the darkness of that, like the 7 deadly sins and all that. So I originally started like inspiration with that. So I just think anything kind of like dark and creepy is what inspires me.
Yeah.
I think we that.
Yeah, there's something about that. It's just like mixing the Catholicism with darkness and just like, yeah, it's super cool. Yeah. And what vibe do you hope to bring someone who's rocking your designs?
I just want them to feel empowered, like in any way that means for them, like whether they put the clothing on and feel really dominant or a very like submissive vibe with all the O-rings, like whatever makes them feel sexy. Like it's really nice when I see like people put on my clothing and I can see like their whole persona change. It's almost like it puts you in this whole different headspace.
Yeah, it's crazy how fashion has the power to do that. Yeah, and it definitely does bring that vibe to whoever's wearing it, because since we've both modeled your designs, I think we can really speak from experience that it does make you feel empowered. And
yeah, have you had like customers tell you similar things? Well, like, do you sell mostly online or?
Yeah, I sell mostly online. I've done a few like markets here and there, but the majority of it is online. Yeah, I've definitely had customers like say that, and when they post photos and stuff of them wearing the stuff, you can like really tell how confident they're feeling in it. It's a really great feeling.
Yeah. And I feel like a lot of people do resonate with your brand because the type of people that I see modeling your outfits, when you do post them on your social media, they all tend to be similar in a sense of their aesthetic or just the mood that they bring with the shoots that they do. And it's just, it all ties back to the brand itself.
Yeah.
And yeah, so you do a really good job with your branding.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's also like a lot of diversity going on in your feed as well, which I appreciate.
That
So
is
I'm
very
wondering,
important.
yeah, for like the whole brand and the social media and the sewing, like that's a lot of stuff to do. So do you have a team behind you, or is this just like all one woman show?
It's completely a one-woman show right now. I obviously have like friends and stuff that'll help out with like photography and all sorts of stuff like that, but everything is basically run by me. So when I first started, I was still like working another full-time job and doing this on the side, but I'm happy to say I've like cut back to part-time with that now. So now I'm focusing a lot more attention on Rapture and Repent. So hopefully in the future it'll be able to be my full-time thing.
Amazing. It's a big milestone.
That's been a common theme with a lot of people we've interviewed. It kind of starts as like
Yeah.
The side thing.
you're able to, yeah, it's so hard to do one job regardless of what it is that you do and find a way to slowly migrate yourself or like put more of yourself into it as you can. So what would be like your ideal trajectory for where you want to go and how you can be able to dedicate yourself full time to it?
Yeah, if I'm able to completely dedicate myself to it full time, I think that's ideal. I do like really love the idea of it staying like a small brand, like homemade. Like I love the like small business sort of aspect to it. So I would definitely want it to stay in that direction. But if I'm like full time working on that, that would be amazing.
Awesome. And what can we expect for the future of Rapture Repent?
I am working on a couple new designs, so now that I'm like putting a little more time into it, I think I'll have a lot more designs releasing more frequently. Yeah, so just playing with different stuff like that.
Where do you source your textiles and all the things that you use for your designs?
So most of them I would get like in Toronto, like in the fashion district, like Queen and Spadina. But like ever since like the pandemic has started, I've like sourced them from a couple places online. Yeah.
Has anything else kind of changed about the pandemic? You mentioned like going to trade shows and stuff, and that's not
Yeah,
really
trade shows definitely aren't a thing anymore, but I feel like in a way the pandemic has been really positive for it because a lot more people are like shopping online and like thinking more consciously about who they're purchasing from and giving their money to. So I've like really noticed like an increase of sales because of that.
And in terms of marketing your business, what do you feel like was the most successful tool that you've used to market your business?
Definitely Instagram. Even so, like collaborating with different people on Instagram, I guess. Like I've sent a couple pieces to different like influencers and stuff like that, and like when they post and more people see it, just like making connections on like social media, I'd say.
Have some of those experiences been more successful than others? In terms of like, it's hard to collaborate sometimes with people who you don't already know and trust.
Yeah,
So-
absolutely. I remember like when I first started this like way back in the day, I would like send things to certain people and they would maybe never even pull through with photos, but yeah, I guess I'm just like a little more selective now about who I'm actually working with and making sure that it's like beneficial for everybody involved. Yeah.
Do you have any advice on how to like build those kind of beneficial relationships? Because yeah, we've also had a couple of influencers just ghost us, and
Yeah.
it's really frustrating.
Yeah, it's definitely frustrating.
Or is it just luck sometimes?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it for me is like seeing if we have like a common like following, I guess. Like somebody who fits that same like look and vibe that the brand is giving off. Yeah.
And also when you work with people like that, their followers, they can resonate with your brand too, because as long as you're aligned in that sense of your style, then you're more likely to get people who actually would rock your fits from these accounts, because that tends to be the following that they have.
Yeah,
that's really cool.
On that topic, I'm kind of wondering, like, what are some of the biggest challenges or like hurdles that you faced, and then what are some of the like biggest achievements that you would consider over the
challenges, I guess, like making this my full-time thing. It's hard when you're like first starting out and you want to put so much like time and money and effort into it, but realistically you need like an income coming in before you're like actually making money off of it. So I think like getting it started was the biggest thing, because I would be working full-time hours and also like coming home and then doing that for hours after. So that would be the biggest challenge. But I think one of the biggest achievements is realizing that you're actually getting to that point now where you're able to put more time into it and it's actually like becoming more your full-time job.
Awesome. And then if you were to reconnect with your older self when you're first getting started, what are messages, or what would you tell your
some advice you give to you?
I think a big thing would be like not being so hard on myself, I guess. I feel like at the beginning I would like compare myself to other more established brands and be like, oh, I'm not on that level, but it's just like a journey of like discovering who you are as a designer and what aesthetic works for you. So I think just being like kinder to myself with that.
So this is where all the magic happens.
Yeah, so I work from home. So I do all of the cutting of fabric, sewing, everything here. Yeah, so I'll start with, usually the idea like starts in my head, but then I'll definitely sketch some stuff down. So like whether it be like a little bit creative or then more like actually laying out like what details I'll need for each piece.
Nice. And then what do you do once you've got and nailed down a design? How do you go about measuring out?
Then I would make the patterns. I do it in a very like, just a very like almost unprofessional sort of way. Like if my fashion teachers saw me, they would be pissed. But yeah, so sometimes it'll be like fitting stuff on a mannequin. Other times it's just like, I feel like by this point I kind of know like what shapes work for certain things. So a lot of it I'll almost do like freehand first and like a few measurements and then end up like cutting out some fabric.
So one thing I did notice about your designs, you always have a lot of straps. And I was wondering if that's something that you do so that it can fit more than one size, or do you have set sizes for people?
I do have set sizes, but I also do like custom sizes as well if somebody doesn't fit within the like normal like small to large. But I do really love the idea of like the straps being so adjustable, because like even when you are a medium, like sometimes like maybe your waist is a tiny bit smaller than it should be in that particular size. So like to be able to adjust it, I feel like it just makes it like fit every type of body like really flawlessly.
Yeah, and especially when it comes to a top and a bottom. So people have smaller tops and larger bottoms, or vice versa. So
I can never wear bodysuits. It's super annoying.
Well,
show us some hardware.
So my main hardware will be the sliders, elastic, and the O-rings. And this is basically like the recurring theme throughout every piece will be these 3 items. So everything will have these sorts of straps. I love the like thick elastic and the really chunky hardware.
Nice. Where do you keep your textiles?
Yeah, these just like some samples you're playing with right now.
This is my favorite.
So that's some stuff I've already actually just started cutting for orders. So basically, like, I'll go like work on a few orders at a time and like cut out the pieces. And then I do textiles. So, a lot of black textiles. But, yeah, so I work with a lot of mesh mostly and a little bit of like faux leather too.
So thank you so much for watching. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel. You'll find a link below.
Also, follow us on Instagram at Tableau Creative, and you can join our Facebook group. A link to that will be down below as well. Be sure to follow Rapture and Repent on Instagram. Thank you so much, Monika, for joining us.
Thanks
really
for
appreciate
having
your time.
And thank you so much, Arshia, for filming this.
No problem.
Cool.
We'll catch you in the next episode.